Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on YouTube? You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is Saturday, February 18th, 2023. Normally I do these updates, these rundown videos Monday through Friday. We're going to be putting out a rare Saturday video today. My girlfriend had to head into work for a little bit, and I'm waiting for my phone to charge before I can either head to the gym or go for a bike ride. So I've got a little bit of time to kill. Had some notes put together for Monday's video, so figure we'd knock out a video today. Hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. Let's hop right into this. So yesterday markets closed, the Dow closed up over 100 points. The NASDAQ closed down 68 points. Markets should have been crushed on kind of all the bad news this week, right? Like hot CPI numbers, hot PPI numbers, an overly heated job market, basically everything the Fed doesn't want to see. We've also seen a number of Fed managers come out and say they're expecting to do 50 basis hikes this next Fed meeting as opposed to the expected 25 basis points. And, the markets really kind of rallied a bit on the news that, the Fed might be starting a pivot. Obviously, the Fed is not going to be cutting rates. They've said they're going to continue raising rates through 2023, possibly even into 2024, and that they're going to leave rates elevated for a while. But as soon as we went from 50 basis point hikes to 25 basis point hikes, the market wanted to kind of view this as a pivot. As far as crypto had been down the past couple days, but has been rallying a bit in the past 24 hours. Bitcoin currently sitting at $24,564. That's up 2.99%. Ethereum up 1.74% on the day. Ethereum sitting at $16.94. What do we got? BNB up 2.31%. BNB sitting at about $3.16. And we talked in a video yesterday or 2 days ago about CZ of Binance is wanting to kind of pay his fines, kind of settle things with U.S. regulators and kind of put that behind him. But there's also news that Binance may be completely pulling out of the U.S. So we'll see what winds up shaking out with that. Ripple up 3%. Cardano has been kind of on a tear the past week. Cardano up 10.85% on the week and another percent on the day. Let's see, what else do we got in our notes here? So Bank of America's Michael Hartnett says that the Fed will tighten until something breaks. And, hard landing, soft landing. We've been hearing about hard landings and soft landings for a while now. What's kind of interesting is a couple months ago, pretty much all the major bank CEOs, company CEOs, the Fed were all saying the chances of a soft landing are getting slimmer and slimmer. It looks like we are going to head into a recession. And now all of a sudden, now that things have progressively gotten worse and things are looking pretty bad, now you're starting to hear everybody say, no, a soft landing still possible. We may not have a recession. It actually looks like we may be able to avoid a recession. Hartnett had come out and he said, and this is a quote, "No landing could be terrible for stocks." So what does he mean by no landing? If we get a hard landing or a soft landing, at least there's some resolution. At least there's some type of landing. But he's saying if we have no landing, if, job numbers continue staying hot, if CPI and PPI continue rising, the Fed is going to have no choice but to continue hiking rates more aggressively and then wind up leaving them high harder. Hartnett went on to say the Fed will tighten until something breaks and stocks will swoon to $3,800. To 3,800 points by March 8th. So we've been talking a lot about layoffs. What is it? Just a few weeks back, Facebook laid off thousands, if not tens of thousands of employees. With Amazon and Facebook and Salesforce and everybody else, I'm kind of forgetting the numbers. But it looks like Meta, following a pretty large layoff they just recently did, may be looking to lay off another 7,000 workers. It was reported that a bunch of Meta employees were given poor performance reviews. Apparently that was 7,000 employees. And so a lot of people are suspecting that this may be paving the way to do another round of layoffs. Later this year, when more companies need to cut staff, we're likely to see more of this. So either more poor performance reviews kind of setting up the case to lay people off, or, like Twitter did, we may wind up seeing more employers say, hey, we want everybody back into the office. And, you may wind up losing 20 to 30% of employees who decide to either quit or go get other jobs when, the days of remote working are coming to an end. So we'll see if that winds up happening later this year. Right now, a lot of what's happening, you have some companies who truly need to lay people off, companies who grew too quickly, companies who hired too much, companies who are hoarding employees. But also a lot of companies are using this period right now, using this kind of little window that we have as an opportunity to clean house, to lay people off, to trim the fat. Normally it looks bad when you lay employees off. It's bad for employee morale. It's just kind of bad for your company overall. But when we're hearing about layoffs every day, left and right, if you need to trim some fat, if you need to get rid of some employees, now is a good time because you just kind of blend in with all the other layoffs. Let's see, layoffs.fyi. Okay, so let's look at, normally I add this to the notes. I kind of forgot today. We normally cover kind of tech layoffs for the year. So at this point, we have 380 tech companies who have laid off employees. Total number of employees is 108,346. And let's look at, today is the 18th. So let's look at some of the big layoffs in the past couple of days. We really haven't had a lot of layoffs in the past 24 hours, at least not since the last layoffs that we announced. Tencent laid off 300. They're out of Shenzhen. We talked about this. DocuSign laid off 680. That's 10%. Pico Interactive, these are from a couple days ago. Pico Interactive laid off 400. That's 20% of their company. And The Real laid off 230. That's 7% of the company. Let's see, what else do we got here? So, we've been talking about how we're seeing all these train derailments, trucks tipping over, toxic waste being spilled. 2 weeks ago, LAX lost power and all the flights were grounded. One of you guys had emailed me that there was an issue at Lufthansa. I think their power went out. They also had a DDoS attack. All their flights were grounded for half the day. Well, now apparently we heard about how the power was down at JFK the other day. A JFK terminal may wind up being shut down for several days with power woes. Why is there no power at the airport? When in the past, if ever, can you remember something like this happening? Just an entire terminal at a major airport being shut down. Let's see here. So I thought this was kind of interesting. So Switzerland is looking at passing a law that would outlaw going to a cashless society. Canada's trying to move to a cashless society. I think the U.S. isn't nearly as close to making it happen, but I think the U.S. would like to move to a cashless society. It gives the government more control over you and your purchases. It gives you less anonymity. Think about that. In a cashless society, if the government wanted to force things in people's arms, if they control all the cash, if they control your ability to spend, it's pretty easy to do that. What if the government wanted to keep you locked in your city or your state or your region or your county? All they have to do is shut off your debit card. Tony, your debit card can't work outside of your zip code, and all of a sudden, how do you travel? How do you fill up gas? A cash society would be bad for anonymity. It would be bad for freedom. It would be bad for everything. And a lot of countries are looking to go to cashless society, so it's kind of cool to see Switzerland passing a law that would outlaw a cashless society. In 2022, we saw the average 401k balance drop 20%. Last year, the median 401k balance was $23,376. No, I should say, okay, so now the median balance is $23,376. That's a 23% drop. We're seeing more people take hardship loans from their 401ks to pay the cost of living, to pay bills, some people to buy homes. I think we saw a lot of people kind of FOMO and borrow money from their 401k to buy homes over the past year or two. One bad thing about taking a loan from your 401k, I've taken a loan from my 401k before. I took it to pay down debt. One of the dangers of doing this is if you wind up leaving your job or if you wind up losing your job, all of that money is due immediately. And if you can't pay it back, it's going to be a withdrawal and you're going to be penalized. 10%, plus the money is going to be taxed at ordinary income. So this could hurt a lot of people and really harm a lot of people's future retirements. You hear people like Susie Orman say, oh, you need $5 million to retire. I think that's kind of crazy. I don't think you need $5 million. If you wind up buying a home, if you have a paid off home, if you got a car paid off, if you have a lot of your things in order, you don't need all that much money to live. I think when the average person hits retirement age, they have about $140,000 in their 401k or in their retirement funds. That's probably not nearly enough to actually retire on. But I think the reality of what you'll need is somewhere in between that $140,000 and the $5 million that Susie Orman says you'll need to retire. I think we're going to see a lot of people either have very sad retirements or you're just going to have to move to maybe a small town in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest where you can get a home for $25,000, $50,000. Those homes are out there. The reason a lot of people don't want to move to these areas is because there aren't a lot of job prospects or there aren't high-paying jobs. But if you're retired and you just need a cheap place to live, it may not be as cool as living by the beach in San Diego, but you can get by and put food on the table and live off your final years without struggling. Let's see. Recession signals grow as consumers struggle to pay bills. Right now, 43% of Americans are struggling to pay their bills. We were told inflation was transitory. We were told this is a rolling recession, but we were told the consumer is strong, the economy is resilient. 63% of people are worried that if they lost their job, they couldn't even cover bills for a month. Guys, it is incredibly important to put together an emergency fund, to have enough money put to the side to live, I would say, at least 6 months, ideally a year. If you can do 2 years, even better. We talked in a video, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, about Coco Media. Coco was talking about his neighbor who spent a bunch of money fixing up their basement, fixing up their backyard. Guy wound up losing his job, and now they're going to wind up losing their house. They're trying to rent out a single floor, a single room on their house for $2,600 when you could rent an entire house in this area apparently for $2,300. Earnings are falling behind the cost of living, and keep in mind, we've talked about this. This is the new normal. Don't expect egg prices, bacon prices, frozen vegetable prices, or fruit prices to come down. Once prices go up, that's where they're sticking at. The best you can hope for is that the Fed gets inflation under control and that prices only continue to rise at 2% instead of 9%, 15%, 30%, 60% in the case of butter, 80% in the case of eggs. Let's see, we have record high credit card debt and credit card interest, and many people, I think, know that they're buried, know that there's no way of getting out, and figure they'll just keep using the credit cards, maxing out the credit cards, and enjoying the ride as long as it goes. And, earlier in my life, I actually kind of did the same thing. At one point, probably in my early 20s, I got myself $10,000, $15,000 in the credit card debt. It starts, you have an emergency, you have something come up with your car, you have some type of unexpected thing come up, and, you're $300, $500 in credit card debt. You don't make enough money to pay that off. The interest rates, make it so that you're paying the interest but not really making a dent in the principal. And then, being a young person and just kind of stupid, it's like my friends are going out Friday night. I don't have any money, but I don't want to miss out. So, I'll just put the night on the credit card. I'll pay it off later. You keep saying this. I'll pay it off later. I'll pay it off later. I'll pay it off later. And next thing you know, you're $15,000 in credit card debt like I was. Fortunately, I was, this happened when I was young. I managed to work out a deal with my credit card company where I closed down the card and gave them the ability to auto debit my bank account. I know a lot of people say not to do that, but doing that deal allowed me to get the interest down to 1%. I closed out the card, I stopped using the card, and I was actually able to make a noticeable dent in the payments. I think they were auto debiting $400 a month, which at the time was a ton of money for me. I saw that balance go from $15,000 to 14.6 to 14.2 to 13.8, and it was really kind of motivating seeing month after month after month that balance dropping. So if you guys are in credit card debt, contact your credit card companies, see if you can kind of work out some deal to close down the card on your own, let them auto debit some money, and maybe get rid of the interest entirely, or at least knock it down quite a bit. The core of the economy is crumbling. The middle class is crumbling. The top 10%, the top 1%, and even more so the top 0.001% have benefited from all this central bank stimulus. But the average person's an idiot. The average person was happy. They got a $1,000 unemployment check. They got $1,500 in stimulus. They were able to buy a new PlayStation 5 and a flat screen TV. All the while, we saw one of the largest transfers of wealth in history. The average person has no idea the massive wealth transfer that happened over the past couple years. Hey, I got a PlayStation and a new flat screen. All while the elite are laughing at you. They got trillions of dollars. These same people are the same people who are going to be buying your home when it's foreclosed or when you're doing a short sale. And they're going to rent it back to you for 3 times what you're paying now. San Francisco apparently wants to turn their city into a tourism hub for sex and drugs. We talked about a couple weeks ago. San Fran wanted to make a red light district, and I guess now they want to legalize drugs and basically make San Francisco just a big hub for people to fuck prostitutes and do drugs. Not really sure how I feel about that. I mean, I don't think prostitution should be illegal, but at the same time, San Francisco is already kind of a mess. I don't know that bringing more people in to do drugs and pay for sex is necessarily a good thing for the city. And do the people in that city even want that? Downtown San Francisco is empty. It's never recovered from the Mexican beer cough. And let's talk a little bit about the San Francisco housing market. San Francisco housing market crashes. Prices have plunged 35% from the peak. The median home price plunged 8% from January from December, plunged 17% year over year. And in the past 10 months, the average home price has plunged $545,000. Single-family homes in San Francisco have plunged 37% in January year over year. We're likely to see similar things happen to cities like Phoenix, Boise, Austin, Texas, and others. Some people are calling for a crash in Florida, although Florida is still on the rise and Florida is still a desirable place. We're starting to hear about more people who were victims of, I hate to say victims because they made their own decision, but we're starting to hear about more people who were victims of FOMO over the past couple of years. Here's an article from Market Watch, and I'm seeing a lot of posts like this on Twitter, on real estate subreddits. Somebody wrote into Market Watch asking for advice. Here's what they said. They said, my wife and I live a quote-unquote average life in the Bay Area, making $320,000. Last year, we bought a house for $200,000 over asking, and now we don't want to live in it. Should we get professional help? And I've seen other people who bought homes. Their home is already underwater. Homes are already selling for less than they purchased their home for, and now they're freaking out. They're like, do I sell the home, take a $300,000 loss, but hope that things fall further so that I can buy back in even cheaper? You know, there are pretty hefty costs associated with buying and selling homes. So you buy a home and a couple months later or even a year later want to turn around and sell that home, incur all those costs that you're going to face for selling the home plus whatever loss you're going to take on the home, and you think you're going to be able to buy back in later. Like, you know, times like these make people make stupid decisions. But let's quickly read this. So that the question is, I was a victim of FOMO during the housing market craziness, and I bought for $200,000 over asking price. Now prices are coming back to reality, and I feel like I lost my hard-earned money. I don't know what to do as I'm living with constant stress, thinking that I made a big financial mistake, and I'm not sure if I should consult a financial advisor for better decision-making and long-term investment planning. Looking for financial... Okay, so, you know, that's... Okay, so let's see. My wife and I are in our 30s and working in the Bay Area, making about $320,000 a year combined. We live an average life and watch every dollar we spend. How crazy is that you make $320,000 a year, well over $250,000 a year, and you have to watch every penny you spend because you live in the Bay Area. We bought our first condo in an average neighborhood back in 2016 as we didn't have kids at that time, and we wanted to stay closer to our job since we both had to go to the office pretty much every day. In 2021, we had a child, started thinking we needed more space. We wanted a good, safe neighborhood, good schools, and a good work-life balance and a hybrid work option. I started to look for places with these things in mind, knowing that the housing market was crazy and we would need to go over our asking price. We found a nice neighborhood and schools, however, very far from our job location. Got a gnat flying around here. Let's see. And we put in an offer $200,000 over the asking price. We were disappointed as our prior offers were not selected. We closed the deal in March of 2022 and went for a vacation because we wanted to recharge. After coming back from vacation, we didn't end up relocating to the new home because I wasn't sure that I would be able to go that far from my job's location from our current friend circle. We decided to continue to stay in our condo we bought in 2016. We rented our house we bought earlier this year. Monthly mortgage is $4,450 inclusive of everything. However, we're only renting it for $3,250 per month. I feel like we made a very bad financial decision and doubt my skills to manage our finances effectively. What should I do? So he's renting the home for $3,250. The mortgage is $4,450. That's a $1,200 difference. This guy is a landlord who's losing $1,200 a month. And how many other people are in a similar situation? At least the guy realizes and kind of has the foresight to realize that he's making stupid decisions and maybe he needs to seek help. But I'm seeing situations like that become much and much more common. Let's see. DraftKings stock surges after they report stronger than expected earnings and revenue and a better outlook for the future. Look at the billions of dollars spent on gambling on the Super Bowl. People are going to get what they deserve. The average person doesn't have $400 for an emergency. People are broke, but they have plenty of money to bet on sports. It's kind of crazy. Even on like Entrepreneur and Make Money Online, subreddits and Twitter threads and forums, I'm seeing more and more people talking about their sports betting systems and how they're doing well betting on sports, but I don't see that as reliable or sustainable. Zero Hedge had an article, the food stamp work requirement is still not being enforced in 25 states. So we talked yesterday about how SNAP benefits are being cut in half the country. I think on average, people are going to lose about $80 per month in SNAP benefits. Some families up to $250 a month, but this is kind of crazy. So previously, prior to the Mexican beer cough, there was kind of a rule in place that if you wanted to get SNAP benefits, you must be either working 20 hours a week or in job or in job training to qualify for SNAP benefits. That was suspended during the beer cough by Congress. You know, right now we have 11 million unfilled jobs. We have jobs that previously would have paid $8 an hour that are now paying upwards of $20 an hour, possibly even more. There's plenty of jobs. Jobs that used to pay nothing are paying pretty good now. You know, working at a gas station, you can make 40 grand a year now in some areas. I talked about how a gas station near me paying like $19.80 an hour. That's almost 40 grand a year. I think that might even be 41 grand a year. You know, I think it's probably time to bring back the work requirements for SNAP benefits for, you know, able-bodied people who actually can work. Let's see, 20 women who were sexually abused at Jeffrey Epstein's properties were paid through J.P. Morgan's accounts, according to a recent filing. You know, isn't it kind of funny how J.P. Morgan Chase was super quick to shut down Kanye West's accounts because he said something that they didn't like, but they pretty much enabled Jeffrey Epstein to run his abuse ring for decades. And an executive at J.P. Morgan was buddies with Jeffrey Epstein. We talked about this in the video the other day. He talked about, quote unquote, meeting Disney princesses. So yeah, just kind of messed up all around there. So we talked in a video the other day about how Chicago's Mayor Lori Lightfoot is telling people if you don't want to be mugged, don't carry cash and don't spend cash. Basically blaming citizens for the fact that she's running a city that's not safe to live in. We now have the LA police chief, LA County police chief, telling citizens don't leave water bottles in your car because somebody may smash out your window to grab the water bottle. Don't leave phone chargers, don't leave wallets, don't leave anything of value in your car because people will break in. We even see in San Francisco, some people are leaving their trunks popped open and leaving their windows down to show that they have nothing in their car, or that if somebody does want to search your car to find something to steal, at least they don't have to smash out a window to do so. You know, how crazy is this, that law enforcement is basically blaming citizens for them running unsafe cities? Kind of crazy. And in the last story of the day, an Illinois hobby club believes that Biden shot down their hobby weather balloon. So, you know, following the Chinese spy balloon, we had 3 unidentified objects shot down out of the sky. We haven't really gotten a clear picture or a clear story as to what those were, but it's looking like an Illinois hobby club had their weather balloon shut down. So the U.S. government spent $400,000 in taxpayer money to shoot Sidewinder missiles and take down a $12 balloon that a hobby club in Illinois put up. So that's the story for you guys today. Not a super interesting day, not a ton of stuff to discuss, but got a little bonus Saturday episode for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If so, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and opinions on anything and everything discussed in today's video, so drop those down below, and I'll catch you guys on the next video, probably Monday. Later, guys. Peace.